वेगं मनसक्रोधवेगं जीवावेगम् उद्रपस्तवेगम् एतान् वेगान् यो विशेत धीरः सर्वामपि मां पृथ्वीं च शिष्यात्. Translation: A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demand, the action of anger, and the urges of tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. And Srila Rupa Goswami has given this six urges of our material body that we have to control in order to become the Krishna consciousness, which are our urge to speak, our mind's demands, our anger, our urges of tongue, belly, and genitals. These are most important. Uh, these are most important urges that we have to control in our we have to control to purify ourselves, to purify our consciousness, so that we can realize the knowledge that we are receiving, and we are reading from the Shastras and books from Srila Prabhupada. So first, our our urge to speak. So uh, first, one has to control his speaking power. So one cannot indulge in unnecessary talking, or talking about material things, talking about the things that are not necessary for our survival and for our progress in the Krishna consciousness movement. So much people like a Srila Prabhupada has given example of croaking of a toad. The toad is croaking away in the jungle or in the field, but he is only inviting his death, that so the snake can find the toad and eat it. So croaking of a toad is compared to the nonsensical talk of materialistic persons. We talk about, we engage in talking about so many things: the politics, the environment, uh, about gossiping about other people's, gossiping about, even we are gossiping about the pious persons who has done something wrong in his past. So, and also the talk impersonalist Mayavadis. Though Mayavadi philosophers are also engaged in the talks about their Mayavadic principles, like yeah, Mayavadic principles, and so the talking of materialistic men and impersonalist Mayavadis is compared to the croaking of a frog. So, from that unnecessary talk, we develop unnecessary urges of the mind. So, we get into the flow of talking, and then one thing leads to another, and we have some demand of our mind that we have to fulfill. So, it starts with the speaking, and then it goes into the planning, and we are engaged in all sorts of unnecessary actions and on unnecessary things, and we'll lose so much of our time. And and during this, the execution of our planning to satisfy our mind, we you know we do so much karmas that we have to make penances for. So so Srila Rupa Goswami has prescribed that one should engage his speaking power into the Krishna consciousness by reading, by telling the stories of Krishna, by discussing his pastimes, uh, by discussing the philosophies given by our acharyas. We can engage our speaking power into the Krishna consciousness, and that way we can purify our speech, and we can avoid altogether avoid the unnecessary talk about materialistic things and philosophies of impersonalist Mayavadis. And as I said about the mind, that the speaking unnecessary speaking leads to one thing, and that one thing leads to another, and there is a there is a new demand from the mind. So as Srila Rupa Goswami has said, if we purify our speech, we will take a first step towards the purifying our mind. So, when we discuss about Krishna, our mind is engaged in the Krishna. So, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that Krishna is just like a sun, and Maya is just like a darkness. So, when your mind is filled with Krishna, there is no question of Maya or darkness, right? So when you purify your speech, ultimately you are purifying your mind as well. So we have to engage our speech, our speaking power into the reading and talking about Krishna and his pastimes. We can there are other things that yogic perform, that is like yogic process to concentrate our mind and achieve the mukti and all, but that is not very helpful in this age. They try to create a vacuum in the mind by performing yogic yogasanas, but that will not remain forever. So we have to fill that vacuum with the Krishna consciousness, so where mind is engaged. So yes, and the third is that anger. Similarly, anger can also be controlled if we direct it to the right actions. So we cannot mix materialistic, our materialistic actions and our Krishna conscious actions. So when it comes to oneself, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, one should be humbler than the grass and more tolerant than the tree. So a devotee should tolerate the uh, insults or frustration that material world has given. The devotee should tolerate all the insults and the frustration that comes from the materialistic world to one's own self. So it is not about our materialistic ego or the false ego. So anger should be directed towards the uh, towards to improve our bhakti, or improve our devotion. So one can, get angry or direct his anger towards the uh, blasphemation, or the disrespectful of, when someone is disrespectful of our deity, or about a temple. So we can, direct the anger towards the right actions. That way we can control our anger. But one should not anger should not be directed towards our, materialistic ego, or satisfy our materialistic pride. One should always tolerate, or always ignore the insults, or the, the frustration that is directed towards devotee. That way we can, control our anger. So, as Srila Rupa Goswami has said, that if you control your speech, your if you control your speech and engage the speech, in Krishna consciousness movement, your speech is purified. If your speech is purified, your mind is filled with Krishna consciousness things. You're thinking about services, you're thinking about Krishna's pastimes that you have read from the book, that you have discussed in the classes. And when when that vacuum that we want to create in your mind, you know that is filled with the Krishna consciousness thoughts. So your mind is controlled, and when your mind is controlled, you you can also control your ego and pride. So the anger also is controlled. The next fourth is urges of tongue. We all experience our, experience that our urge to eat palatable dishes, delicious, delicious things. And we should not allow our tongue, should not allow the tongue to eat according to its whims, and according to its choices. The devotee the devotee should eat what is left left from the offering given to Krishna. So one should always take prasad at scheduled times, and should not eat at the restaurants, and different kinds of fast foods, and the sweets and everything. So one should not satisfy the whims of the tongue or the belly. And when you control your tongue, you control your urges of belly as well. You eat your prasadam, you purify your tongue, and when you're eating just a prasadam, it purifies your belly as well. So the amount of food also we take, that is the urges of belly. So when someone has a disease of a stomach, you can analyze that the person is eating more than necessary, or more than what is needed for the body. So uh, to avoid the disease, you have to control your urge of the belly. So that's why we perform the fastings, and we control our belly, urges of the belly. And in similar manners, the urges of genitals, the sex impulse, can be controlled when they are not used unnecessarily. The devotee should, or every person should, engage with genitals only to beget child in a matrimonial bond. So you're only allowed to beget Krishna child when after marriage. You should not engage in illicit sex, or satisfying your senses with artificial means. That is also not allowed. So when you're even when you are not engaged in a sexual intercourse, you and you are satisfying your genitals with the artificial means, that is also is going to increase your, demands of the senses, your demands of genitals. It's like a itch. When scratch the itch, it's going to again increase the its demand to uh, you will again keep scratching and scratching, and it is not full. It's not fulfilled. You keep on scratching on in similar manner. The urges of the senses are, they're not, they cannot be satisfied. It's just it's a temporary moment, like a kshanik soup. It's for a moment you feel satisfied, and then again, in next moment you want some more, and it keeps going on and going, and you are sucked into the whirlpool of this senses, and uh, more demands, and your more materialistic, uh, more demands and materialistic, you make more planning to satisfy those urges of the senses. Yeah. So people also perform penances to they think they can counteract the effects of this karmic reactions by performing pious activities, but that is not true. You cannot counteract with the pious activities. So people, they chant and they perform offenses. They are again engaged into sense gratification. That is not allowed. So that is called your you're performing offenses, and you're satisfying your senses while chanting. So that is also another offense. The offenses performed on the power of chanting. So that is not also allowed in Christianism. One has to confess his sins to to get a forgiveness from the Lord. So people think that they can go to church and confess their sins, and they're exonerated, and they can again next day they can again go to their materialistic lives and do all the things again and again, and they come back to the church and again confess about the sins, and they think that it is okay. It is okay to just it is okay to confess the sins and go as your life, and you know satisfy the senses and engage into the sinful activities. But this is not allowed. So the as Larupa Goswami has said, the sinful activity cannot be counteracted by pious activities, or doing prashchit. So in the real prashchit or atonement is that engage ourselves in a Krishna consciousness, awakening of our forgotten Krishna consciousness. So that is real atonement. So one has to, one has to think about our activities. One has to, analyze our actions, analyze our what is causing that action. But because it always comes down to this six urges of our senses, or our urges of our materialistic body. It's like the example is given here that of a elephant. When an elephant goes into the river and bathes, clean itself, and the moment it comes out of the water, it spreads the dirt all over its body again. So it's like that. So you chant, you go to the temple, you perform puja, and you again go. The next moment you are out of the house, you're performing all kinds of sinful activities again. You're maybe knowingly or unknowingly you're performing offenses on the chanting, power of chanting, or you think that you're performing all these services, so you are forgiven, maybe unconsciously, but that is not right. So you have to analyze your actions, analyze your everyday activities. So if you're performing something unnecessary, or you're satisfying your senses, so you can ask yourself that what is causing this. You can always comes it always comes down to the demand of a mind, or your demands of tongue or belly or genitals. So one has to be very very cautious about what we are what we are doing. So, Srila Rupa Goswami has given one example that from Prema Vivarta, chapter 7, Sri Jagdananda Pandit says that, my dear brother, you are in a renounced order of life and should not listen to talk about ordinary worldly things, or should you talk about worldly things when you meet with others. Do not think of women in even in your dreams. You have accepted the renounced order of life with a vow that forbids you to associate with women. If you wish to associate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you must always remember the incident of Chota Haridas and how he was rejected by the Lord. Do not eat luxurious dishes or dress in fine garments, but always remain humble and serve their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Krishna in your heart of hearts. So you can realize from this that uh, the regulative principles are must. You must follow the regulative principles in order to become Krishna consciousness. If you cannot control your urges, if you cannot control your mind, then you're not going to progress in the Krishna consciousness. And you're not going to purify your body and consciousness as well. So one has to control his senses, and one has to control his mind. Goswami. So here we in the verse it says that the sober person who can tolerate the urges of this six bodily senses is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So that means who can who can make disciples? Goswamis can make the disciples. So what is Goswamis? Go Swami is master, and go means senses. So the master of senses can make disciples, and uh, make disciples, and preach to the common people about Krishna consciousness. And Godasas are servant of the senses, the materialistic people, the Mayavadis. So you should not be a Godas uh, whose senses are not controlled, or who is a servant of a senses. Because in our materialistic life, we are the all the things we plan, all the things we are doing, all the unnecessary things. So that always comes down to this. When you analyze what is causing this action, what is cause the causes of causes, it comes to the our basic senses, the gratification of our senses. It can be our mind's demand that I want this, I want that. So in order to get that, you need a money or you need another thing. So you plan to get that thing, and you satisfy. You reach there, and again there is another demand. So as Prahlad Maharaj has said, Puna Punascha Charvita Charvana. So you are madly engaged in the chewing the chew. So you are trapped in this whirlpool of urges or the demands, and you are always engaged in satisfying these demands, and that's how Maya works. So in order to progress in our Krishna consciousness, one has to control his mind, speech, anger, and urges of tongue, belly, and genitals. And yeah, and that is the conclusion. Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. And one more thing, Prabhu. Sorry for not attending for past few weeks, Prabhu. I'm extremely sorry, and please forgive me for not attending the classes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for your nice declaration. And thank you very much to your tutors for training you. Yeah, we understand you're not able to attend because you were out of family difficulty. And Srila Prabhu's mother was not very well. She was in the hospital for many days, very serious condition. And to run around that plus your other activities in your farming as well. But now that you are done free, you can please prepare. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to invite any of the anyone has any questions from the tutors, please, or anything to say, please feel free. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mersho, for actually presenting your summary on this first text. So, actually, so the conclusion initially, in the end, it is said that uh, one who can control the six items, speech, mind, anger, tongue, and belly genital, is to be called Swami or Goswami. And it is said that one who continues their existence in this material world for gratification of senses, there is no chance of becoming Krishna conscious, not by personal endeavor or by instruction from others or by joint conferences. They are dragged by unbridled senses into the darkest region of ignorance. Thus, they are madly engaged in what is called chewing the chewed. So, means you actually presented all the points. Actually, you shared your practical understanding as well. So just to take for example, actually in terms of actually how to actually practically implement this instruction. So we understand what is actually being said. So can you able to actually give an example? For example, like controlling a speech, because this is probably all of these things are very important, and actually to practically implement we encounter many difficulties. So if you want to implement the instruction of controlling the speech, so normally says that in order to control the speech, you only talk about Krishna or in relation to Krishna. Otherwise, you normally get dragged into materialistic talks, and that again lead to spoils your mind, and spoils many things. So, can you able to practically explain how would you actually go about implementing this instruction that will actually help you to progress your devotional service?
Uh, so I'll give an example of what happened with me. So like when I go to the Pune, so I live with my friends in his flat. So other people are also living there. And they are preparing for the this UPSC and MPSC exams, civil services, and they're always engaged in, because of they are in this they're doing this civil studies, they are always engaged in talking about politics, the geopolitics, and what is happening in the country, and all kinds of things. So they are when they are in flat, like when they are not studying, they are always discussing about politics, that this politician doing this, and that this is doing this, and what about the common people, and they are suffering, and what to do about it. So the discussion stops there, that the common people are suffering, that is the conclusion, and then again they go about another topic, and then another topic. So so the people are, that they lose so much time discussing about these things, but they they're not coming to the cause, what is causing that. So what I do is, like, for 1 or 2 days I listen to them, I even engaged in discussing these things, and then after that I realized that this is very waste of time, that very unnecessary, because every day they come to the same conclusion, but again they are discussing the same things every day, maybe different topics or maybe different points, but um, the basic point is the same every day. So sometimes I try to connect those things, that conclusion, to our Krishna consciousness, like our shastras, that why people are suffering, why this is happening. So my so after raising that point, the my friend also told me that everyone goes to the temple, but these people are suffering, and the politicians who perform all these illegal things, they rob people and everything, and they are still enjoying their life. So what I learned from that you can relate everything in your material life towards the instruction that we have received. So we can always go back to the instruction that we're, instruction, or our shastras, that, or the books that we read from Srila Prabhupada. So we can always get the solution for this materialistic problems in our instructions. So what I do is, if I feel that this is unnecessary and we're wasting time, I just direct those talks towards the Krishna consciousness. Maybe not directly Krishna consciousness, but the basic instruction that we have received, or the understanding of how karma works. So that's what I do. That, like, relate it to the instruction or the information that we have read in the books. So, yeah, maybe I may not have explained this well, but yeah.
So yeah, actually what I meant is that actually what strategies you will use because this is everyday thing, right?
Yes.
You will go on, you are actually dealing with various people, maybe in your family or in your workplace, outside, within your friend circle. So these things will always come, because they actually practically implementing means actually we have to actually have a plan, right?
Yes.
Otherwise we also get into the similar talks, nonsensical
Yes.
talks. So yeah, one way maybe you say that you direct the topic into the that will relate to the Krishna, right? Maybe
Yes.
you would encourage them to discuss about Krishna, but not everybody will be inclined to do so, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
So yeah, if they're actually maybe in association of actually devotees, they may want to discuss is the interested at all, or they may be end up actually blaspheming the devotees and Krishna. So it may not actually will be successful. Yeah. So just to give example, right? Actually, in workplace, they will always talk. There's always a chit chat going on all the time. So what I actually means, I personally realize is that yes, you have to actually talk to them. You cannot really isolate yourself completely. So probably, yeah, the technique that I use is that I don't really get involved too much in those talks. You listen and you move on. You steal the time and you go and do. If you have the actually break time, I rather go and do maybe one round of chanting.
Yes, bro. Yeah.
Take a walk. So yeah, that way actually you're not really wasting your time and you are also getting involved in. Because I remember the instruction of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He said that you should always talk about Krishna. Otherwise, you should not talk at all. You should not even talk to the materialistic people. But is that really practical? That you cannot completely stop talking to them because you have to deal with them at various places. So probably you should think beforehand how you're going to deal with a particular kind of people, even in the families. Because they will always try to irritate you, or sometimes if they know they are following this path, they will always try to agitate you with the various questions as well. Because I have seen, in some instances that people will try to just nudge you or try to provoke you in some way.
Yeah.
So once you realize that the actually person who's asking you, his intention is not to actually get the knowledge, but to just irritate, it's best to avoid them.
Yes, bro. Yeah.
Just, maybe just change the topic and move on quickly.
Yes, bro.
So that's one way. Once you are sure, but if somebody is inquiring about the Krishna or these topics, sincerely, if you want to know, then you can actually you can actually talk to them and try to actually give information that you know,
Yes, bro.
or try to direct these people to these programs as well. So like that, then you need to actually think, because you know the instruction given here in the whatever is being given, and
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada has given very actually nice purport, and there's so many examples. So how to actually protect us, So that's why Amrish Bhu always said that when you deal with the materialistic people, we give the association, we don't take the association. So that is one way protecting yourself, that you make sure that you are not getting disturbed by their talks or
Yes,
getting into. So you can think on all these points, all this instruction. This is just one example we take on
One example,
controlling the
yeah.
speech, similarly controlling the tongue, how to actually and control other senses as well.
Yes.
I'm not sure is Sanjay Prabhu is there today. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. So I didn't mention it, but I always ignore the people who are provoking me, and they just want to tease you, or just get a reaction. So I try to have, as in, I ignore them completely and just say, yes, yes, okay, yeah, and then I just move on with my business. So yeah, Prabhu, I do that. So
Yes. There's another point actually I was talking about initially. Second part about the actually controlling the anger. You spoke about actually controlling the mind and anger. You actually spoke about actually directing the anger towards the service of the Krishna. Is that you said actually you should control your anger, but otherwise you engage your anger in service of the Krishna. Is that point? Yeah, you said something around that lines.
what I meant was, Prabhu, I was very confused when I was presenting it. What I meant was, like, if you're angry, you can just start chanting and you know d- do some service, like think about Krishna or think about realization, about something that you have read. So that's what I practice, Prabhu. So when I get very angry, so I just keep quiet and just chant in my mind,
Hmm.
and and it gets me down, and keeps me calm. Yeah. And also another point is that if someone is blaspheming Krishna, or blaspheming the devotees, I always try to engage and defend, like, what you're doing is wrong, and I try to explain them. So that's what I do, Prabhu.
Yeah, with controlling the anger, yes, the anger can be controlled. We cannot stop the anger altogether. But if we simply become angry with those who blaspheme the Lord or devotees of the Lord, we control our anger in Krishna consciousness. So there are actually, again, example is given of Mahaprabhu, actually being angry with Jaga and Madha, who actually blaspheme and actually injured the Nityanand Prabhu there. So the example is given there. One should be humbler than the grass moving taller than a tree. So, but to actually implement that instruction, that is from the actually Shishtastakam, right? One should be more humbler and more tolerant. But in practically speaking, when we try to implement that, it's very hard. Yes, some people might do it. I find it very hard when we try to use it. So actually, one of the transcendental mail of His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, where he says that in relation to controlling anger, he says that when you become angry, there are two strategies. Either you keep your mouth shut, you don't speak, otherwise you leave the place. You actually get away from that place. So I found that very practical. It's very easy to implement. Because it's initially, and then probably you will know as we study more in Bhagavad Gita also speak very elaborately on how the actually anger arises, the actual root cause of anger and all that. So actually it all comes down to actually senses, because our senses, our mind contemplate on some actually object of the senses, and when we don't get that, when our desires are not satisfied, it actually gives out, either we become frustrated and become angry, right? So once we know this process, then actually it's more easier to actually control the anger. But what you just also said, chanting is also very helpful. Srila Prabhupada also, there is the example of Srila Prabhupada, that when you become angry, it's better, start chanting, and just gradually calms you down. So think about on actually very practical, how you're going to implement. So my question is around how you implement this on your daily life. So all these instructions are very nice, very important, and it is very, very important verse. That if we are able to actually perfect this one verse, so then we can able to actually become actually Krishna conscious completely. So it's very important verse, and so try to actually think practically how you're going to actually have some techniques. So think on each thing every day, and see how you actually go about implementing it and what difficulties you encounter. So you can always come back and ask the questions as well. Okay, yeah. Okay, I think Amrish will want to say something. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, I was waiting for you to finish. Please take your time. Okay, Hare Krishna. I think you've got very cracking noise in your audio.
Cracking. Okay.
You have to fix this,
Okay, I think I'm using the laptop mic. Probably didn't realize it.
Sort of, when you speak, there's a lot of cracking noise.
Okay, I try to use the headset and see how it goes.
Thank you very much. I think Sanjay Prabhu is at work at the moment. So, Namaresh Prabhu, one thing I wanted to let you know, this point is very important, that you said that with regards to Goswami, one who has controlled the senses, those who are not Goswamis, you said the word Mayavadis, they are not. That's not entirely accurate, Prabhupada may say about Mayavadi, and we should not be overly enthusiastic criticizing anything. We may be cautious about our approach, in an association. But I find that a lot of people, a lot of devotees, very prematurely start criticizing anybody. Just 3 days ago, they were not a devotee. After 3 days, they read some Prabhupada's book and start to criticize. That's not right. And I can tell you for sure, many of them, they may have the philosophy wrong of the end goal, that God is Nirakara. That is right. But that does not mean that they are not in the process of contemplation. Many of them have better contemplation. Not only those who are Vaishnavas, don't think that only they are a contemplation. They may have a better opportunity to control the senses. They are direct service to Krishna. But there are many, many examples of such authorities who have misused it. And they do not fit into this category of Vachavegam, Manasatya, Vegam, Jivas, although they claim to be so. You understand this point, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
So do not, please be very careful about this point. And
Yes, Prabhu.
yeah, please continue.
Yeah, Prabhu. I think I have misspoke about this when I was presenting, Prabhu. I think I was very anxious,
Okay.
when I was, trying to remember what the points I was supposed to say and all those things, Prabhu. Yeah. So yeah, I don't criticize Prabhu. Yeah, because I see so many Jain Munis in the temple and in my village also. So yeah, Prabhu, they are they are controlling their senses very well, Prabhu. That about Jain Munis, Prabhu. Yeah. So I respect them, Prabhu. I don't just go
That's
and
right.
criticize everything. And yeah, Prabhu. Yes.
That's right. That is our way. This is Mahavishnu Goswami our way. Now, internally, we may, for our training purposes, we may say things, but externally, we don't do it.
Yes, Prabhu.
Even if,
Yes.
as I said, I've seen over the years, many, many prematurely devotees do that. I'm very happy you don't do it. That's very nice. Please continue to do it. Yeah, very nice. I just wanted to say this one point. Yes, Mr. Thank you. Now, anybody else wants to see any of the questions? Wanting to share, feel free. And remember why we don't criticize? Because we are very busy to criticize our own self. For preaching purposes, we may have to say things. We may have to create situations. This is very dangerous. Prabhupada, before Prabhupada left this material world, of course, Srila Prabhupada are still there. Prabhupada has never left. But the physical body appearance, Prabhupada left. At the end, Prabhupada begged for forgiveness from all living beings, including even Vaishnavas. Prabhupada criticized many of them, say, rascal. I said, please apologize to him. In Prabhupada's God brothers, Prabhupada made sure that all the God brothers also were given apology. Prabhupada had to say many things which were not very palatable for them. Okay. Very nice. I think we should conclude today now at this point. And we'll meet in 5 minutes time. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Jai
Yes, thank you,
Shri
Roji.
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Jai Shri Prabhupada.